Welcome back, guys. Finally today we're going to get on to actually playing some basic bass lines. Now, in a normal band setting, the bass holds pretty much a supportive role that lies between the harmony and the melody of the music and the underlying rhythm provided by the drummer or percussionist. It normally lies in sort of the rhythm instrument territory, but we do have an influence over the harmony of the piece in terms that we have pitch, albeit a lower pitch that lies below everybody. So we can kind of define a lot around the feel of any given chord by what we're playing underneath. Now, at the basic level of that would be playing, for any given chord in a piece, would be playing the root note of the chord. And what I mean by that is if the band is playing a G chord, then the root note of that is a G. It's very simple. And that kind of applies for any G chord. It doesn't matter if it's major or minor, or if it's got sevenths or suspended seconds or fourths or anything like complicated above that. That all lies in the upper harmony structure of the chord. If we're holding down a low G, then we can't go far wrong, because it's always going to be the root note of any given G chord. Now, there's more that we can do around that. We can play different notes and influence the type of chord that is being played, but we'll get that into later discussions. So today I wanted to go over a couple of really basic starting points for developing a bass line for a piece. And for this, we're going to do a really basic chord structure of G, C, D, C, and return to G. You'll find that in a lot of pop songs, a lot of songs generally in any genre. Really basic chord structure, but just allows us to play around with some rhythms within it. So if the band is playing that over the top, then we've got lots of options of what we can play underneath. Now, in previous video, discussed the building blocks of bass lines, and that covered a lot of rhythms. And our first sort of port of call is just a driving rhythm holding on one type of note. And the best place to start with this really is a driving eighth note rhythm. If I put the drums on, you can feel. So the driving eighth note would be something like this. Okay, now that works really well in a lot of pop songs, a lot of rock songs, anything that's got sort of a driving rhythm to it. Just holding down that constant rhythm can work really, really well, because it's not going to clash with any of the other rhythms, because it's such a constant driving beat. Now, where that may not work well is if the song doesn't really have that sort of drive, and on that sort of thing, it's a common sort of theme to do a more of a rhythm, something like this. Now, if you listen to the drums, I've doubled up the bass drum with a hi-hat click just to make sure that that's nice and clear for you guys. But a lot of the time, you have that bass drum pattern of 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And that kind of 1, 2, and 3, 4 is a common kind of beat. And it's not a hard and fast rule, but if you're ever in doubt of what rhythm to play in a bass line, following the bass drum pattern is a good place to start. Now, in this case, we can go 1, 2, and 1, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Or we have the option of dropping that fourth note at the end, so we can go 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. So along with the drums. Okay, and that's like a really, really, really common pattern in basic bass lines, and it's a really good place to start, sticking to the basic root note pattern and just having that sort of constant beats that matches up with the bass drum or supports it, can work really, really well. Now, if you're working out some music, if it's from a recording, then from another artist, then quite a lot of the time, if you do a search online, then you'll be able to find chord charts, chord progressions, tablature that will show you what the chord structure is, so you can follow that. If you're working with friends or in a band or something, obviously they'll be able to tell you what that chord is. If you can't find that, then it's a good chance to develop your musical ear and just listen to the music and try and find where the starting point is, and start building up a bass line from there. Don't worry too much about in the early stages of getting everything absolutely note perfect if it's a more complex bass line. Get a basic version of it down, just something like that, and then play along. And get used to playing along to a rhythm, to a drummer, and that'll be a good starting point. In upcoming videos, I want to develop that and sort of start making more interesting bass lines, and also break down some of the bass lines that I do with the bands that I play with, and try and sort of analyze my thinking behind them and where I'm coming from with them, especially if I'm doing stuff all over the fretboard. I don't want to be flash for no reason, is the key thing. I want to be supporting the band and making the band as a whole sound better, rather than trying to do something that makes me look amazing, because at the end of the day, it's all about the music as a whole rather than just about the bass, unless of course you're a solo bass player, in which case go for it. So that's a starting point, a couple of different versions there to get started, and we'll start developing those in upcoming videos. So for now, we'll see you next time, and enjoy playing.